Hello, receiving students and Sevenis. Thank you. Take your seat. Receiving students and Sevenis, before we go into our lesson, we will recap our previous lesson by doing this activity. Now our recapping activity is on the screen. Receiving students and Sevenis, can you calculate 1/4 plus 1/5? Alan, what is the answer? Let's have Alan. Alan got the answer already, so receiving students, you can also give your answer. From model class, we have Alan to give us the answer. Alan? Positive 1/4 plus positive 1/5. Let's hear from Alan.
Positive 9/20.
Positive 9/20. Any answers? Let's have Tony. Tony, what is your answer?
1/20.
1/20. Okay, we have two answers. Let's correct the answers. What is our lowest common denominator? 20. Our LCD is 20. Into 20 divided by 4. 5 times 1 is 5. 20 divided by 5. 4 times 1 is. Now 5/20 plus 4/20 is 9/20. So the answer is positive 9/20. We are making the answer positive 9/20 because we are adding two positive numbers, adding same signs. So if you add same signs, you keep the sign, you add and then keep the sign. With that, receiving students, I hope you got the same answer as given on the screen or given by our friend Alan. Okay? Now, receiving students, we will go to our today's lesson. We have our strand. We are on the same strand, number and application, substrand, directed numbers, and still on the same learning outcome, 7.1.7. Use directed numbers in concrete problems. And our lesson topic for today is on directed number operation. This time we are looking at addition of decimals. So in other words, we will involve directed numbers in decimals. Now, receiving students, I have few examples to show you before we can do our learning activity. Let us look at our first example. Now, our first example on the screen. Calculate negative 3.64 plus negative 2.9. That is the first example. Now, students, let us look at the method and steps. What are the method? What steps are we going to apply in order to calculate those two directed numbers which are given on the screen? Remember, the directed numbers which are given are decimal numbers. They are in decimal numbers. Now, if you look at the two numbers, we are adding what type of numbers or what type of decimal numbers? Are we adding positive numbers, two positive numbers, or two negative numbers? Okay, we are adding two negative numbers. Two negative numbers. And these two negative numbers are decimals. Remember that? They are in decimals. Now, if we refer back, if we think of the rule, you would see that we are adding two negative numbers, which means that the signs are same. So the rule in adding directed numbers applies that when you add same signs, or when you are dealing with same sign, you add and keep the sign. Same sign, add and keep the sign. So, how can we do that? Okay? Now, that is the way that you can do when you are dealing with directed numbers involving decimals. Remember, in our lesson on adding of decimals, when the decimal numbers are written horizontally, it is best to put them in order or column. You put them in column and then you line up the decimal point in a straight line. Remember our lesson in decimals, adding decimals? So don't forget the steps in adding decimals as well. In this example here, we are also applying the steps of adding decimals. And we are also applying the rules of adding directed numbers involving decimals. Now, if you look at this example, we have only one step there. Because the numbers are the same, or we are adding two same signs, we add the numbers and keep the sign. So our answer will be what? Negative 6.54. Now let us look at another example. Example number 2. Now if you look at example number 2, what is the difference that you can see from the previous example 1 and the example 2? Especially with the numbers, decimal numbers. What can you see? What is the difference here now? Let's have Emmanuel, okay? Emmanuel?
Because they have different sign, negative and positive.
Okay, very good. They have different signs. In the first example, we were adding two negative numbers. Two negative numbers, meaning that same sign. We were adding two same signs. In this example too, we are adding two different signs, a negative and a positive, as you can see from the example, receiving students and 70s. Now, what are the method and steps? Step number 1, when we are adding the rules of directed numbers, when we are adding two different signs, who can tell me? What do we do? When we add in two different signs, what is the rule or what is the step? Okay, receiving students and 70s. The steps, step 1 is different signs. We subtract the smaller number from the larger number. Step number 1. And what is the smaller number here? What is the smaller number? 2.4. And what is the bigger number? 5.7. So if you subtract 5.7 or 2.4 from 5.7, what answer do you get? Okay, receiving student at 7 is forget about the negative sign for a while. We are trying to apply step number 1 here. Just forget about the negative sign and then do normal subtraction. Bigger number subtracting the smaller number. And if you do that, your answer will be 3.3. 3.3. Let us look at step number 2. It is continued from the previous step number 1. Then after you subtract step number, bigger number, smaller number from the bigger number, the next step is you give the answer, the sign of the bigger number. Now what is the bigger number? Receiving students? 5.7 is the bigger number. What is the sign of the bigger number? Negative or positive? Okay, let's go back to the... What is the sign of the bigger number? The sign in front of the bigger number is negative. So, our answer we will give negative or positive sign? Negative sign. So, negative 5.7 plus positive 2.4 is negative 3.3. If you apply the steps step by step, you will end up getting that answer, receiving students and 7 is. Okay? Why we give negative sign to our answer? Because the rule says that you give the answer the sign of the bigger number. And in this example, the bigger number is 5.7. And the sign in front of 5.7 is negative. That's why we have to give our answer negative sign. Now receiving students and 7 is, let us move on to our learning activities. In pairs or in trees, I would like you to do these 2 learning activities, A and B. The first learning activity A, you are adding negative 0.4 plus negative 0.4 Finish. Let's have some answers. Receiving students, you can give your answers to your teachers or teacher. With the model class, we will have 2 answers each for each of those learning activities. Okay, let's have our friend there, Maria. Let's have Maria to give the answer for A, and Sconti will give the next answer. Maria, what is your answer for A?
Negative 0.9.
Negative 0.9. Sconti, you have the same answer? Sconti, what is your answer for A? A, I'm saying A. Okay, Sconti has the same answer. Let's B. Look at answer B. Okay, Donald?
Negative 0.7.
Negative 0.7. Leland? You have the same answer? Okay. Okay, Michael wants to give his answer for A. He thinks that A is not the correct, the answer Maria gave is not correct. Okay, Michael?
Negative 0.1.
Negative 0.1. Thank you, Michael. Okay, let us look at the answers. Now for A, we have 2 different answers. We have negative 0.1 and negative 0.9. We have negative 0.1 and we have negative 0.9. Now let's correct that together on the board. Now when you have numbers like this, receiving students and 70s, it is best to have the numbers in column. So we have negative 0. And negative 0. Okay, let's add. We have our numbers. If we put them in column, you will see that your decimal points will be in order. So when you come to your final answer, you will not find difficult to plot your decimal point. Now let's have Michael to give us. Michael, what is 4 plus 5? Michael, what is 4 plus 5?
9.
9, very good. 0 plus 0 class? 0. Where do we place our decimal point? Between 0 and 9, so here. So Michael, our answer is negative. So we give our answer the negative side because we are adding 2 same signs, which is negative and negative. And the answer is negative 0.9 and not negative 0.1. So receiving students and 70s, this is our correct answer. Now what is our answer for B? We have only one answer here, negative 0.7. Any more different answers? Okay, we have our friend here who got different answer here.
Negative 1.1.
Negative 1.1. Okay, let's correct the 2 answers. Now receiving students, we have 2 different answers here. Now let's follow the step. We are adding a positive and a negative number. A positive number and a negative number. Now, what is the first step which was given in your example? The rule of adding directed numbers. Donald? Let's listen to Donald, class.
Subtract the smaller number from the larger number.
Okay, subtract the smaller number from the larger number. What is the larger number here? 0.9 is the larger number. Now, this is step number 1. 0.9 subtract. Now, what will be our answer? 0.7. Now, what is our next step? We are following step by step, okay? Step 1, and now we have completed step number 1. What is the next step? Give the answer the sign of the bigger number. Don't forget it. Step number 2 is give your answer or give the answer the sign of the bigger number. Now let's go back to our example here. Which is a bigger number here? 0.9. 0.9 is the bigger number. So what sign are we going to give our answer? Negative or positive? Negative. So negative. Receiving students and 70s, if you follow the step number 2, we have given our answer negative sign because the bigger number is 0.9 and the sign that is in front of the bigger number is negative. So our answer is negative 0.1. We have 2 different answers here. So negative 0.7 is the correct answer and negative 1.1 is the wrong answer. Now receiving students and 70s, I hope you have the 2 answers given by our friends correctly. If you did not get it correctly, please do corrections, which is given on the screen or on the board. Now, students, we will go to our exercise. We have our exercise, which is on the screen. We have 2 exercises to do. Exercise A, you are adding positive 5.7 plus negative 2.3. And exercise B, you are adding negative 6.93 plus positive 4.73. Students, remember that we are dealing with directed numbers. So rules of directed numbers applies there. In this case, we are adding. So try to apply the rules of adding directed numbers. With same signs, what rule are you going to apply? And with different signs, what rule are you going to apply? testing. Just mic testing. Positive. Now, students, let's have receiving students. You can put your answers on the board. Receiving teacher, please appoint 2 students to write their answers on the board. For the moral class, we have Alan for B, and we will have a female, Daisy. Okay, Daisy for A. Please show your answers correctly. Daisy A, Alan B. Okay. Let us look at the answers. Cooper, you want to give your answer? You want to write your answer? Okay, Cooper, come. Which one? A. Okay, you put your answer on this side here. I hope I've given, okay. Cooper thinks that Daisy has the wrong answer, so Cooper is going to show his on the board. Write it big, please. You see how Daisy wrote the answer? Write it big, big, big. No. You write yours. You write the whole thing. Can you write the whole thing? Okay, thank you, Cooper. Okay, let us look at the answers. Receiving students, I hope you have written your answers on the board. Let us look at the 2 answers here. Now, answer A. Question A. 5.7 plus negative 2.3. Now, receiving students and 7 is, if you look at the question A, we are adding 2 different signs, a positive and a negative. So our friends here have skipped step number 1, which is not wrong to say that. It is still correct, because step number 1 is you subtracting a bigger number from the smaller number. They have proceeded to the step number 2, and let us look at the 2 answers here. Which of these answers is the correct one? Daisy's or Cooper's? Okay, we have 2 answers here, so let us correct the correct one together with the teacher. Okay, we'll correct it together with me. Step number 1, because we are adding 2 different signs, what is step number 1? Subtract the bigger number from the, what is the bigger number here? 5.7. Now what is the answer? Step number 1. 3.5. 4. Step number 2. Give the answer the sign of the bigger number. What is the sign of the bigger number? Or what is the bigger number? If you look at the example here, the bigger number is 5.7. And what is the sign in front of 5.7? Positive or negative? Positive. So we give the sign, we give the answer positive sign. So our friend's answer here is correct. Hooper's answer and not this. Let us look at answer B. Are we correct with the answer negative 2.18? Yes. Okay, yes, negative 2.18 is correct. When you're putting a decimal point, please place it below and not above, down here. So Alan's answer, negative 2.18 is correct. Now receiving students and 7s, you should have the two answers there. A, positive 3.4 and B, negative 2.18. Now receiving students and 7s, let us look at our summary. When adding decimals which involve directed numbers, same signs, what do we do when you are adding same signs? You add and then keep the sign. When you are adding different signs involving decimals, different signs, subtract the smaller number from the larger number, and then give the answer the sign of the bigger number. So those are your two summary points for this lesson. Don't forget, we are still dealing with directed numbers, so we still apply the rules of directed numbers. And because we are dealing with decimals as well, we also apply the method and steps of how to calculate or how to add decimal numbers. So two things which is done in this lesson. Applying the methods of decimal numbers, adding decimal numbers, and also the rules of directed numbers. With that, receiving students, our key phrase for today. Class, what is our key phrase for today? Okay, directed numbers, dealing with decimals. And our next lesson topic is on subtraction of integers. With that, receiving students and 7s, this has bring us to the end of our lesson for today. Thank you very much for your participation.